Generally speaking, we... Generally speaking, we, as a civilization, are fascinated by the apocalypse. Whether it's an epic narrative about humanity's struggle to adapt and survive in a hostile environment, a nihilistic apologue about the fall of our feeble and illusory civilization leading to the absolute worst of human nature being exposed without any socially induced filters, or a supercomputer experiencing a philosophical boner, the post-apocalyptic genre has captured our imagination many a times. When it's not about zombies, that is. Screw zombies. Seriously.
Naturally, when we think of the end of days, or the extinction of mankind, or the apocalypse, we always think of the bleakest possible scenario. Something along the lines of like Mad Max or the Terminator. At least the good ones. Not something like this. Yeah, welcome to the nicest extinction humanity has ever faced. In Sentai Filmworks, humanity has declined.
A bright and colorful future in which our species has stopped procreating and is slowly dying out, leaving the planet to be ruled by fairy-like creatures. Okay. And while this kind of scenario would give Clive Owen's character from Children of Men an aneurysm, everyone is strangely cool with it.
Trying to describe this show really doesn't do it justice. So how can I go about this? I know. Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Fairies, where we're making another anime from scratch. Now, today's dish is going to be called Humanity Has Declined. Let's not waste any more time and get the ball rolling. So first, we're going to start with some nice colorful visuals as stuff. You're going to want to put a lot of this in here, just because this is going to be what fills out most of the product. I think that's enough for a single serving. Next, we're going to add in a nice amount of mood. So add mood in here. Again, generous amounts. About enough. Now, we need to add some seasonings. Surrealism? Marvelous. Satire. Not too much. Remember, you don't want to over-season this, it just has to be slightly lacking to get the desired flavor. And finally, dark comedy. Okay, very good. Now, we're going to want to mix this up. Because, well, the episodes are considered out of order chronologically, so you want to give this a nice mix, just so no one has any idea what's going on at any given point. Good. Now, we're going to bring this to a boil. So, we're going to cut to our finished product in a moment, and our taste test. And now you serve it up to your hungry anime fan. How does it taste?
Like disappointment.
Marvelous! Now we've gotten the desired flavor. Well, thank you for watching Cooking with Fairies, and hopefully we'll see you next time.
Promotional consideration provided by the Cthulhu Co., makers of the Mighty Fork of Punishment. The Mighty Fork of Punishment, keeping the old ones in line since the dawn of time. Available at these fine retailers. If you still want the premise after that lame cooking skit, the story, as it is, follows an unnamed pink-haired girl as she lives out her life in a tiny village. This girl does have a mildly important job, however, for she is humanity's official liaison with a new race of sentient beings called Yosei, or Faries. These pixie-like creatures have pretty much replaced humanity for reasons that are a mystery for both parties. Mankind, whose extinction is all but ensured during the next generation due to an inability to conceive children, as we established already, have pretty much accepted their fate, with only the tattered remains of civilization left over and no real means to find an answer to the birth crisis. They also find themselves fairly aloof to the entire ordeal at this point.
This perspective is hammered home by the protagonist, as the entire story takes place from her point of view. She basically acts as the embodiment of humanity's outlook, a cynical, negative sort who's lazy when she can get away with it, and doesn't really have the highest moral standards because, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter what she does. There's no bright future awaiting her, just inevitability. The Faries are a trip as well, with inexplicable super advanced technology, the ability to multiply simply by being amused, and a bizarre outlook on life. These little buggers are the instigation for pretty much everything that happens in the series, which again, in the grand scheme of things, is not really that much. Yeah, the show is a touch absurd.
Huh. I guess that's one way for the bread to become toast. The show is mostly broken up in 2 episodes-long arcs, springing from some kind of insanity cooked up by the Yosei. To give you examples would be ruining the only consistent element of fun in the show, but to say that they are whimsically wondrous would be an understatement.
But buried under all this, there truly is a brilliant showing here. The atmosphere here is even more impressive than in something like Terminator or I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
There is this palpable sense of humanity's impending doom constantly permeating in the air, made even more foreboding by the unsettling absence of an obviously bleak outlook. Everything is so peaceful and bright, which conflicts with our typical idea of an end-of-day scenario, but also reflects the unnaturally calm demeanor of the human beings left in the world, whom have long since accepted their fate and seem to be aware that their disappearance won't affect the planet in the slightest. That's the most unnerving part of this particular apocalypse. It acknowledges and embraces the sad truth that we are not the epicenter of it all. We are not the rulers of this reality, as we arrogantly made ourselves to believe, and we are most certainly not going out with a planetarian bang. We are just slowly vanishing, and the one species that's going to take our place is most likely going to turn the remnants of our civilization into the setting of Splatoon. We are nothing to the world, and we have accepted that. This show is basically a Lovecraftian horror, come to think of it, only with relaxed aloofness replacing utter despair and people going insane.
This foreboding atmosphere is never completely lost, even when the story distracts you with sentient skinned chickens. And while the tone never sinks into outright despair, there is a dour tone just beneath the surface, and that makes you feel like you're going to witness the end. An end that still never actually gets here. Chronologically, the show itself is told completely out of order, with the final arc actually being the earliest in continuity.
Another possible, slightly less nihilistic interpretation might be that, philosophically speaking, this anime is an ideal counter-answer to the dreadful postmodern idea of life being nothing but the wait for death, assuming that there really is no afterlife and there is absolutely no point in existing. That does not automatically mean one shouldn't enjoy life as it is. Ideally, if you want to find a semi-positive reading in this, humanity has declined is an allegory about the human condition. We live until we die. We are aware of that and we make the most of it. Or nothing at all. Whatever we feel like doing, really. The point is, we do not get to choose how we go out. but at the very least, we get to choose how we live. With that said...
Fascinating subtext and debating aside, honestly, this show can get really boring if you look at it from just a superficial standpoint.
Because of its aloof, chilled approach to an end-of-day scenario that forsakes all the typical tropes associated with the genre, the show comes off as original and unique. But at the same time, its own originality is detrimental to its very existence. Aside from the Faries' mischief, nothing important ever happens, as in nothing directly related to the fact that it's supposed to be an apocalypse. And yet, paradoxically, if it wasn't for this lack of fulfilled potential, the anime wouldn't have been as original as it ended up being. Its greatest strength is also its greatest weakness, ironically. Also, it doesn't quite work as a mood piece due to the surrealistic elements, and it seems it could occasionally turn into a satire of whatever it feels like satirizing on, but it doesn't have enough bite in it to be that as well.
I think this show is more than unique enough to want to look for anyone seeking an atypical wasteland narrative without the wasteland in general. This show really didn't get much press, so it's very easy to miss, but I suggest finding a copy. It might be the most unique show on your shelf.
And don't forget to check out the sequel!
Lady, it'll be fine. We've got science!
What? I can't be the only one who saw the resemblance. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage. Rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning day. Do not go gentle into that good night. Good men the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage. Rage against the dying of the light. Wild man who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learn, too late, take rivet on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave man, near death, who see with blinding sight. Blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage. Rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the said height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage. Rage against the dying of the light.
Splatoon's the game, only on Wii U. Make a mess is what you gotta do. You can